Now we're going to look deeper into the kingdom of God. We've already established that the kingdom of God is like God's work of art that He is inviting freely all of us to be a part of. But in fact, God's kingdom is not just any work of art. It is God's masterpiece. God is this artist that has created so many things. He's created the earth. He's created the universe, the sun, moon, stars, planets, the trees, the mountains, the oceans, and all the animals that fill it. And yet we were created in a special, unique, intimate way. But we might want to remember, or at least I think it's okay to realize, that we just in and of ourselves are not the masterpiece. We are the emphasis of God's masterpiece. His kingdom is His masterpiece, and we are the emphasis of that great work of art. In this great work of art is something that God has planned from the very beginning. Matthew 25, where Jesus is talking and telling this story about the king judging those on the right and the left, when He invites them into the kingdom, He says to inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Paul wrote in his second letter to Timothy and said that the kingdom was God's plan from the beginning of time. We know that the kingdom is God's masterpiece because of how much He values it. See, it's very common for an artist to have this, sometimes we call it their passion project. It's this piece that's in their heart stands out more than everything else. It's the one that they put so much of themselves into. And God put so much of Himself into the kingdom, He was willing to send His Son in order for that, for it to be. In fact, Jesus often describes salvation as entering the kingdom of heaven. And rarely, in fact, does Jesus even ever speak of salvation without somehow mentioning the kingdom of heaven. There's only a very few times, and yet Jesus talks about the kingdom over 100 times in the Gospels. We find it. He spoke of the kingdom of heaven more than anything else. And this is something that we can treasure, that we too can come in and let it become a part of our own passion, that it can become the passion of our own gifts. When we know how valuable the kingdom is, it will produce in us this joy to participate with God in it, creating art and stories and music that reflect the kingdom, express it, and invite others in to be a part of this masterpiece of God, His kingdom.